Children First and Last Belize, referred to as CFAL, is a non-profit organization that is trying to change children's lives through education and health care. It was established in November of 2013 by a small group of professionals who want to provide assistance to children by linking them with organizations that can fill their needs. Today, it hosted a child abuse forum in which it has brought together stakeholders from policymakers to law enforcement officers and others to discuss the abuse that children are experiencing and how it can be dealt with.
It's really a child abuse forum, and we have the experts in. The idea is to get the people who deal with children, police, the social workers, the teachers, Coast Guard, everybody that deal with children, to be able to identify a child that is being abused. So they come in contact with these kids every day, but how do you identify a child that's been abused? So we can take corrective measures early. So that's primarily the focus now. So we're hoping that people will walk away with the knowledge of how to identify these and where to get help.
But what is child abuse and how many children in Belize are being affected? Statistics show that close to 1,000 children are victims, especially those who are in stressed family settings. Majority are also young girls who are at times victims of sexual crimes. CEO in the Ministry of Human Development, Social Transformation and Poverty Alleviation, Judith Apuche, says that the most prevalent cases of child abuse is abandonment and neglect.
We see around roughly 800 to 1,000 cases being reported every year, and as I looked at the statistics, that has stayed more or less steady for at least the past 5 years. We're seeing cases of child neglect and abandonment. Last year, those were the largest number of cases that we had to respond to. And then always we're seeing, of course, sexual abuse cases. So younger children then are more susceptible to the neglect and abandonment and physical abuse, girls in particular. And again, on the other side, we have girls who are the victims of sexual abuse and exploitation. So today I'm going to really provide some education as to the system, because the system is made up of more than human development. We respond to the child protection aspects, but the child protection system as a whole, you have the police dealing with the criminal aspects of it. So while we look at, how do we protect the child from further harm, the police looks at what crime has been committed and takes that through investigation and through the judicial system if people are to be charged.
While CEO Alpuche says that it really does take a village to raise a child, the stakeholders are not saying that you should spare the rod. Corporal punishment in the homes is allowed, but when does it become abuse?
You have discipline, right? But when you're leaving bruises, when you're leaving broken bones, and marks and kids are bleeding and things like that's not discipline, that's abuse. And I think some parents think that it's okay. You can lash your kids how you want to beat them and then it's fine, I'm the mom, right? But there's a limit to discipline, and I think parents need to understand that. And when they go overboard, then they end up traumatizing their children.
Dr. Kendra Flores Carter is an assistant professor at California Baptist University. She's the founder of the Janet Don't Cry Foundation, which is a nonprofit body geared towards providing scholarships to children in need globally. She's also the CEO of Caribbean Moms Network that does consultancy and training on factors that socially affect families. She says that trauma often triggers adverse behavior in adulthood.
Kids who experience adverse childhood experiences, which is things like domestic violence, drug in the home with parents, mental illness, things like that. If you have someone in the household that's kind of experiencing those issues and you grow up in that environment, it can definitely affect you later on in life. So kids who have adverse childhood experiences have a higher chance of getting depressed as they get older, of committing crimes. Kids who are significantly traumatized, because adverse childhood experiences is trauma, the trauma they experience in their environment growing up. So they have a higher chance of really becoming criminals if there's no one to buffer and no one to provide the resiliency and the support that they need while they're experiencing child abuse growing up and trauma in the home.
Duane, Moody for News 5.